Okay, let's get into this. We're looking at a huge moment in European history, how modern Germany was created. You have these dozens of separate competing states that somehow merge into a massive, powerful empire. And they did it in, what, less than a decade?
It's an incredible story of speed and strategy. You have to picture the early 1800s.
Mm.
The German-speaking region is just this patchwork on a map.
A total mess.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking over 30 different countries. They all speak German, share a culture, but they're completely separate.
So if you lived in Bavaria, your ruler, your laws, even your army was totally different from someone just down the road in another state.
Exactly. And that inefficiency was a huge drag on their power. People were looking around, they saw united France, they saw Great Britain, and they realized that unity was the key to survival in the modern world.
And in the middle of all this, you have two major players really fighting for control.
Mm-hmm.
First, there's Prussia. By this point, it's clearly the strongest German state. It has the best economy, and its military is becoming seriously feared.
And its main rival is the Austrian Empire. Austria had for a long time been the traditional leader of the German states, but its power was starting to fade.
So the whole story really comes down to which one of these giants is going to lead the project.
Or if one could just, knock the other out of the running entirely.
This is where things really start to pick up. And for a change this big, you always need a central figure, someone driving it all.
You do. And in this case, that person was Otto von Bismarck.
He becomes Prime Minister of Prussia in 1862. And he wasn't your typical politician. He was something else entirely.
Well, he came to power because the Prussian parliament was actually blocking the king's plan to fund the army. They wanted change through votes and budgets.
And Bismarck just had no time for that.
None. He made that crystal clear with his most famous phrase, blood and iron.
Blood and iron. It sounds intense.
It is. He basically stood up in front of the politicians and told them that the big questions of the day, like German unity, they wouldn't be solved by speeches or votes.
But by what?
By blood, meaning war, and iron, meaning the industrial might to build weapons. He was basically saying power is what matters, not process.
And that wasn't just a threat to other countries. He was saying it to his own parliament.
Oh, absolutely. He went right around them, worked directly with the king, and started pouring money into building the most advanced army in Europe.
So that army becomes the real engine for his plan.
It's the backbone of everything. His goal was to make Prussia the undisputed leader, and to do that, he had to kick Austria out of the club.
Okay, so let's look at that army. It wasn't just bigger, right? It was smarter.
It was about technology and logistics. Two key things. First, their rifles.
Right, the famous needle gun.
The Drace needle gun. It was a game changer because it was breech loading. A soldier could lie down, stay protected, and fire off several shots in the time it took an Austrian to stand up and reload his old muzzle loader just once.
That's a massive advantage. You're just putting so much more fire on the enemy so much faster.
And the second pillar was logistics. The railways. Prussia had invested heavily in its train network.
So they could move troops faster than anyone else.
And not just troops. All their supplies, their artillery. They could get an entire army to a battlefield weeks ahead of an opponent. The war was practically won before it even started.
So you have superior firepower and superior speed. And Bismarck uses this to set up three very carefully planned wars.
They really were like dominoes he set up to fall. And the first one was in 1864 against Denmark.
This was over those two territories, Schleswig and Holstein.
Yes. And this is where you see Bismarck's political genius. He didn't go in alone.
He convinced Austria, his main rival, to join him. Why would he do that?
It was a brilliant move. First, it made it look like a German cause, not just Prussia being aggressive. And second, by winning the land together, he immediately created a source of conflict with Austria over how to manage it.
So he uses his rival to win, and then uses that victory to start the next fight.
Exactly. The win against Denmark was quick, it showed off Prussia's strength, and it perfectly set the stage for the main event.
The war with Austria in 1866, the 7 Weeks' War.
The goal here was simple. Get Austria out of German affairs for good. And just as we said, the railways were the key. Prussia moved its forces so fast, Austria was just completely overwhelmed.
And it all came down to one huge battle, right? The Battle of Sadowa.
That was it.
Ew.
And it wasn't just a battle, it was a total rout. The needle guns, the speed, it all came together and just crushed the Austrian army. All of Europe was stunned.
And this is where Bismarck does something unexpected. He could have just dismantled Austria, taken huge chunks of their land.
But he didn't. He specifically chose not to.
Why hold back?
Because he was thinking long-term. Taking Austrian land would create a bitter, vengeful enemy forever. He knew he might need Austria to be neutral or maybe even an ally one day.
So instead of land, what did he demand?
Two things: a small payment, and more importantly, Austria had to promise to stay out of German politics forever.
He got exactly what he wanted politically without creating a permanent enemy. That's incredibly shrewd.
It is. So, with Austria gone, Prussia creates the North German Confederation. All the northern states are now under Prussian control. The blueprint is there.
But the southern German states are still holding out. They're closer to France culturally and politically.
And that brings France and its emperor, Napoleon III, into the picture. They're watching Prussia get stronger and stronger, and they're getting very, very nervous.
A powerful, united Germany on their border is a nightmare scenario for them.
Bismarck knew France would eventually want to fight to stop it. And he realized he could use that. A war against a common enemy like France will be the one thing to get the southern states to join him out of patriotism.
He just needed a reason to start the war.
A provocation. And he got his chance with a bizarre dispute over who should be the next king of Spain.
Right. The Spanish throne was empty, and a distant relative of the Prussian king was a candidate.
France hated that idea, so the French ambassador had a meeting with the Prussian king, Wilhelm I. The meeting was actually pretty polite, and the issue was resolved.
But Bismarck got a copy of the telegram summarizing that meeting.
This is the famous M's telegram trick. Bismarck took the perfectly normal telegram and edited it. He cut words and changed the phrasing to make it sound like the king had insulted the ambassador and the ambassador had been rude to the king.
And he leaked this fake version to the newspapers.
In both countries, the effect was instantaneous. Public anger just exploded. The French felt their national honor had been attacked.
And Napoleon III had to declare war.
Bismarck had played them perfectly. He made France look like the aggressor and Prussia like the victim fighting for German honor. And just like he predicted, the southern states immediately joined his side.
So the Franco-Prussian War starts in 1870. And for the first time, all the German states are fighting together.
And the result was a disaster for France. The German organization, the speed, the heavy artillery, it was just too much.
The deciding moment was the Battle of Sedan, where they actually captured the French emperor himself.
I mean, can you imagine? Capturing the enemy's head of state on the battlefield. It was the ultimate defeat. German troops then surrounded Paris and laid siege to the city.
The war proved it. A unified Germany was now the top military power in Europe.
And the final act was pure political theater. To announce the creation of the new German Empire, the German leaders didn't gather in Berlin.
No, they went to the Palace of Versailles, to the Hall of Mirrors.
The absolute heart of French power and prestige. It was the ultimate symbol of their victory and France's humiliation.
And there, King Wilhelm I of Prussia was officially proclaimed the German Emperor, the Kaiser.
And just like that, it was done. All those separate states were now one German empire with one constitution. And Bismarck, of course, became its first chancellor. The map of Europe was redrawn.
And for France, the consequences were devastating. They had to give up two really important provinces, Alsace and Lorraine.
Very important. They were full of iron and factories, which just fed Germany's growing industry. On top of that, France had to pay a huge fine, and German troops stayed until it was paid.
That defeat created a deep-seated bitterness in France, a desire for revenge that would last for decades.
Absolutely.
So now we have this new German empire. What was it like?
It was an industrial powerhouse. Steel, chemicals, electricity. The economy just exploded. The railway network grew even more, connecting everything. Cities got bigger and bigger.
And it wasn't just an economic power, it became an intellectual one, too.
A huge one. German universities became the best in the world, especially for science and research. Education was incredibly important.
And then Bismarck does something else that seems a bit out of character. He starts introducing social welfare programs.
Yeah, this is fascinating. He, a hardline conservative, passes laws for things like health insurance and accident insurance for workers.
Why? Was he suddenly concerned about the working class?
Not really. It was a political move. He was trying to stop the rise of the Socialist Party. They were gaining support by promising these things to workers.
So he just stole their best ideas.
Pretty much. He gave the workers what they wanted to ensure they stayed loyal to the Kaiser, not to the socialists. It was social reform as a political weapon.
That's classic Bismarck. But this new, powerful Germany in the middle of Europe must have made everyone else incredibly uneasy.
Oh, it changed everything. The balance of power was completely upended. Britain, Russia, France, they all felt threatened.
And that fear led them to form alliances.
Exactly. You get this incredibly complex and rigid system of military alliances crisscrossing Europe, all designed to contain or balance out Germany's power.
And those alliances, which were meant to keep the peace, actually ended up making future conflicts almost inevitable.
They did. The tensions created in these few years, especially the French anger over losing their land, you can draw a straight line from that to the world wars of the 20th century.
In the end, it really seems like the unification of Germany proved Bismarck's point.
It did. It showed that a determined leader with a powerful army and modern technology could redraw the map of the world far faster than any politician could.
Which leaves you with a really tough question to think about. Does the success and speed of what Bismarck did prove that his blood and iron approach was right? Or does the century of conflict that followed show that maybe some things really should only be settled with words?
See you next time.